In the previous module, we examined an APA manuscript together, evaluating it for any grammatical or formatting errors. Now, let's take a look at the rubric for this course and see how those errors would have affected the writer's grade. When looking at the rubric for this course, you can see that there are 7 parts to the basic grading strategy or guide. Let's look at those points now together. The first aspect considered when grading the papers is the writer's use of basic English. As noted, 10 or more spelling or grammatical errors will result in a 1-point deduction. 20 or more errors will result in a 2-point deduction, etc. Now let's look back at the example we corrected in the previous module. You may have noted that there were 7 grammatical errors that we found. Therefore, the writer would not have had any points deducted for this. However, with the addition of 3 minor spelling errors, the writer would have received a deduction of 1 point. The second aspect taken into consideration is whether or not the writer identifies the questions they are looking to answer. If successfully completed, this will earn the writer 1 point. The third aspect taken into consideration is whether or not the writer identifies their hypothesis. If so, they will again earn 1 point. Another point is earned if the writer identifies why the question is important in the introduction. Similarly, 1 point is earned if the writer identifies what is new about the study. The writer will earn another point if they correctly compute and report their statistics when relevant. In the previous module, the paper we examined completed all of these steps successfully and therefore would have received 1 point each. Finally, when looking at the rubric, the writer will lose 1 point for each error made in regards to APA or basic structure. For example, an abstract that contains 500 words, the placement of references before the method, or references given that are not cited within the paper would result in a reduction of 1 point each. In the paper we corrected, there were quite a few errors in regards to the APA guidelines or basic structure, a total of 13 to be exact. This would result in a deduction of 13 points, thus severely hurting the overall grade of the paper. The aspects outlined in the rubric are not only important for students to consider for their grade in this course, but for any scientist who hopes to have their writing taken seriously by journals they hope to submit their work to. For a more complete checklist when reviewing your APA manuscript, refer to Doing Developmental Research, pages 144 to 146.